Hi, my name is Sambi. Today we're going to be speaking with Miss Mana Abraham. Miss Abraham received her bachelor's degree in legal studies from the University of Central Florida in 2014. She went on to complete her JD at the University of Florida College of Law. Miss Abraham served as Assistant Public Defender at the Ninth Judicial Circuit Court of Florida for 3 years before becoming a private criminal defense attorney at Joshi Law Firm in February of 2022. So, Miss Abraham, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sitting down with us and sharing your advice. So, first of all, did you already know in high school that you wanted to pursue law?
I did. I've always wanted to be a lawyer. There was a short stint where I thought maybe I could be a doctor.
Mhm.
I had a lot of family telling me not to pursue the law degree. So I did. I tried to take a semester of just basic biology and chemistry, and it did not take very long for me to jump right back into legal studies and to drop that entirely. So yeah, I always wanted to be a lawyer. I really loved just the idea of arguing and advocating for someone.
Mhm.
um, the brief time that I thought I could do something else didn't last very long. So once you know, you know. And if you do know, then it makes it worth it.
Yeah. Um, in high school, did you do any activities or extracurriculars that sparked your interest?
Not really towards the law route. I did student government, and I was very active in high school. I was the president of student government my high school year, my high school senior year. But we didn't really have too many like legal or law design programs in high school. It really wasn't until I got to UCF that I actually started dabbling in mock trial and moot court and all that.
Got it. And how did you know that you wanted to attend UCF?
Honestly, I didn't have much of a choice. I came from a very strict Arab household. My dad was like, "You are not moving out. We have a perfectly great university here." I
Mhm.
had gotten into UF. Um, I dual enrolled in high school, so I was wrapping up my time at Valencia.
Mhm.
And when even though I got into UF, he was like, "No, you're gonna stay at home." And I ended up at UCF
Mhm.
after Valencia, and I ended up loving it. I loved my time at UCF. It was short, but I enjoyed it a lot.
Austin. What kind of extracurriculars were you involved in there besides mock trial?
There's also moot court, which is more of like the appellate side.
Okay.
There's something called PAD, which is it was like a legal, almost like a fraternity, but it was more law based.
Okay.
They had their own mini mock trial,
Mhm.
and I think that was it. I just did those two, and yeah, it wasn't until law school that I did some more. But in UCF, I just did moot court briefly and then mock trial.
Got it. And then between UCF and law school, how long did you have to study and take the LSAT?
So I would not recommend doing what I did. I interned my entire senior year of UCF at a law firm.
Okay.
So I was working from 8 a.m. to 6. And then I had my Kaplan class for LSAT Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think 6 to 9. So I would rush from the law firm to Kaplan all the way by UCF.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I studied. So I never really like took a break and studied for the LSAT.
Yeah.
Um, I instead took the senior year, got a bunch of credits by interning, and then was able to study after work. So it was tough, but we managed.
Yeah, that's really hectic. The internship that you did, was it at a criminal defense law firm or another kind of law firm?
No, it was a little sole practitioner civil litigation firm. So
Mhm.
they did only civil, and they went to trial, but no criminal cases.
Mhm.
And at the time, I thought, this is great. I never want to be a criminal defense attorney. So I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I knew I wanted to be in court.
Mhm.
Never in a million years did I think I wanted to do criminal.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought I would graduate from law school and then come back and work with that sole practitioner and here in Orlando. But that ended up not being what I did, and I did not anticipate falling in love with criminal defense. But here we are.
Yeah. How did you decide to attend law school at UF? What appealed to you there?
I knew I wanted to take the Florida bar, and it is, everybody will tell you it's best to go to law school in the state that you want to actually practice law in,
Mm-hmm.
because your law school is going to gear towards the state that they're in when it comes to teaching you certain laws.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I knew I wanted to be in Florida, and I wanted the best law school in Florida. And by the grace of God, I somehow got into UF. So it was a no-brainer once I got in.
Yeah. How did you like your experience there?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Law school is a little different than a lot of the graduate programs
Mm-hmm.
because you study the entire time, and your entire grade for every class comes down for the most part to one final. So it was make or break at the end.
Yeah.
So you should study the entire time and read and keep up. But I was a bit of a slacker. So at the last few weeks, I would try to get it together for the final exam.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed it. I made a lot of friends. I discovered my love for criminal law, and
Mm-hmm.
I did great internships. So it worked out.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, what kinds of internships did you do?
So one of them was the most important one was the um, federal. It basically what we did was we assisted law firms that were assigned to indigent clients, um, to take on their capital cases. So,
Oh.
your law firm might end up taking on this case where someone is looking at the death penalty,
Mm-hmm.
and the funding all that is expensive. So I worked for a program that assisted those criminal defense attorneys when it came to those low income people that needed really good counsel,
Mm-hmm.
but didn't have the means to pay for it.
Got it.
So that's what I did. I did a lot of work on, at the time, the death penalty was a hot issue.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember the case I worked on. It was crazy. It's still crazy. Um, I wrote a few motions. I thought there's no way I would practice in criminal. This was just a short stint. But I fell in love with it. I really enjoyed it. I really loved advocating for someone that just did not have the means to advocate for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it more fulfilling than those jobs where the attorney jobs where you're just kind of chasing money or arguing over money, and the more civil litigation that revolves around money.
Mm-hmm.
I found it more fulfilling than that. So that ended up being my calling, even though I didn't see it coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. After law school, how long did you study for the bar before working at the public defender's office?
After so you graduate law school, and I think like even the week before you graduate, you are
Mm-hmm.
studying for the bar. So that I took a way more seriously than the LSAT.
Okay.
You drop thousands of dollars on a prep course
Mm-hmm.
and do nothing for 3 months but study for the bar. And that was rough. Like that was, as someone that was not very studious, that took a toll. Like that, you were up at 8 a.m. to like 6, 7. I had no social life. It was just that was tougher. No, you can't work. You dedicate your life to passing that exam
Mm-hmm.
because you want it to be one and done.
Right.
And so yeah, I think 3 months, 4 months, I was just studying for the bar, and you have no idea what's going to end up on the bar exam.
Mm-hmm.
So you might get like your essay questions for Florida might end up being family law or commercial litigation, something that you have nothing to do with, or you want nothing to do with. So you have to be prepared for everything.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Um, so
Yeah,
after
it's a toss up.
yeah, after the bar, how did you like working at the public defender's office?
So I didn't immediately start at the public defender's office. I actually started first at a place called FIS. It
Mm-hmm.
was a financial company, and it was all contracts.
Oh, okay.
Um, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do, but I knew I had a trip planned to go visit family back home in Palestine.
Okay.
So I had to take a job that would allow me to eventually just leave for a month.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, went to Palestine, came back, and then I started the job at the PD's office.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I stayed there for 4 years and absolutely loved it.
What was your caseload? Like, what did an average work week look like?
At the PD's office.
Mm-hmm.
So the public defender's office is fun because you're with a bunch of people that are just fresh out of law school, just like you are. We're all eager. There's like maybe 30 of us just in the starting class. Even though there were 30 of us, because we're here in Orlando and Orange County is huge, we ended up always being like short staffed. You have so many cases,
Mm-hmm.
but there really is not a better way to just get thrown into the world of criminal defense.
Yeah.
I had great supervisors. I still talk to them till this day. The felony attorneys, so the attorneys that were above us, because we start out, all the new people will start out in county court, so handling misdemeanors, DUIs, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the felony attorneys were great. The attorneys handling the big homicide stuff, like they were great. They would help you. So it was a good place to get thrown into it, but also to have the support that you need to actually do well for these clients. Because at the end of the day, they're still relying on you, whether they have the funds or not. They're relying on you to help them through probably one of the most difficult times of their lives.
Right. And did you always know that you wanted to become a private attorney in the end?
No, I really thought I would retire at the PD's office. And
Really?
I probably would have if I just, married rich and called it a day. But the the PD's office does come with state pay and it's
Mhm.
capped. So if you really need to want to venture out and make a hefty income or pay off student loans, there's a time where you may need to leave
Right.
the public defender or state attorney's office if you go to the state. But no, I really loved it so much I would have stayed forever.
Yeah. Do you think that like becoming a public defender is like a common step in the process for becoming a private attorney?
Yes, and I think it is, because it gives you all the trial experience
Mm-hmm.
that you need, and it really forces you to be able to handle a huge caseload. My ability to do client control is phenomenal because of my time at the PD's office.
Yeah.
I could handle, all kinds of cases because I've seen all kinds of cases.
Mm-hmm.
So that, while I'm not sure how common it is, I think it's ideal. Like private firms really do want someone with trial experience,
Right.
not even necessarily because they want you to go to trial while you're at their firm, but because they know that if you're capable of going to trial, then you know how to do every step beforehand and you
Mm-hmm.
know what the rules are and how to play the game.
Got it.
And you can provide the most zealous representation to their clients. And that doesn't fall short when it comes time to go to trial. I'm not going to chicken out because I've done this before.
Right.
So I don't know how common it is, but it is ideal to have someone that's been there, has gone through the trials, is willing to duke it out, was willing to duke it out when they were getting paid nothing to do it. So no, it's a great first step. Whether you decide to retire at the public defender's office or go to the private world, I think it's an amazing place to start after law school.
Got it. And how has your experience been so far working as a private attorney at Joshi Law?
I think I got so lucky, absolutely lucky, because there are a lot of firms that I probably would not have meshed with as much.
Mm-hmm.
What I really love about this firm now is that he still cares so much about our clients
Mm-hmm.
that it's not, we're not just pleading cases out for money. We are still fighting zealously the same way I did back when I was a PD. And I was just doing it to do it and not so much for pay. So we still give that hardcore representation. We are always getting ready for trial.
Mm-hmm.
If that ends up not being what we do for the client at the end, that's fine. But we know we're willing and ready and able to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got very lucky in that I found a firm that still allows me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There are some firms that don't necessarily work that way. We try to stay local. We take quality cases over quantity,
Mm-hmm.
and we do provide like excellent representation to our
Yeah.
clients. So for those reasons, it wasn't as hard of a transition as leaving the PD's office as I thought it would be when it came to leaving. Because I have such a great team, it worked out and I love it. But I could have very easily seen it going a different direction had I gone somewhere that didn't really respect the quality over quantity. And if I went somewhere that was known to be a plea mill where they're just pleading the cases out quickly,
Right.
I would not have loved it. I probably would have been back at the PD's office.
That's great though that you found like a really good environment to work in.
It is. I say every day I got so lucky.
That's great. So what are some of your daily and weekly responsibilities?
So the cool thing about criminal defense is that it changes. So one day I might be, going to the jail and talking to a client about trial strategy or trying to sign up a new client. Other days I'm probably driving to maybe Brevard or Seminole and I'm arguing a motion to suppress for a DUI. And I mean, you went with us to Brevard and you got to see a little bit of how that normally goes, but you also got to see how things kind of shifted and all of a sudden you had to watch me do some serious negotiating for the client.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just like working on your feet and just being ready for anything, being prepared and knowing your case inside and out. I always try to know the cases better than the state attorneys. So a lot of the time I'm in my office just going detail by detail, line by line, and prepping these cases just in case they go to trial and to be the best prepared and most knowledgeable in the courtroom.
Got it. And
so that's a lot of
it. Yeah. How often do you go to trial?
Within the first month, I think we had 2 trials set at Rajan Joshi's firm. The PD's office, there was 1 week where I had 3 trials in 1 week. And then I went months without one. So it really just, you never know. You could set 10 cases for trial during one trial period, and then some of them will wash because the state attorney wasn't ready or the victim doesn't want to come forward. And then some of them, your client will get up there day of trial and decide he wants to take the plea deal. You got to do what's best for the client, no matter how much of your weekend you were prepping, but so you never really know, but it varies. It just depends on your client, on the state, whether they're really ready or if you're calling their bluff. So you could have weeks where you better be ready for everything and they're all going to go, or you could have weeks where every case you file, you say you're ready for trial, gets dropped.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what are some of the most common cases that you see?
Probably DUI. I don't think people realize how easy it is to get arrested for a DUI. A lot of the drug possession, so the minor ones like that, where we see a lot of those. Some trafficking and possession of the tougher drugs, and also domestic violence, battery, because we see a lot of that. Not necessarily. They're not all always like formally charged and filed on. If police are called to a house for a domestic incident, someone has to go to jail. And it's designed that way to make sure that everybody's safe. But with those charges, you'll see a lot of them dropped down the line.
Got it. And what are some of the most interesting or challenging cases that you've had to deal with?
Oh man, I've had so many. I've had some DUIs that were a lot of fun. Most of my trials were DUIs and I enjoyed those a lot. I think the best cases are the ones where you get to actually like turn around and show that your client is actually the victim and maybe the alleged victim is really the aggressor in the situation. So I've had some very interesting battery and aggravated battery cases. I really do like the county court misdemeanor cases because you could really run with them. But yeah, no, we've had a lot of interesting ones, but I think I enjoy the DUIs and the misdemeanors the most, or the ones where you're really helping someone that is willing to risk everything to go to trial because they know they're innocent. I think those end up being the most enjoyable as well.
Yeah, I'm sure those are really rewarding too.
Right.
So for the last thing, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give to high schoolers looking to join the legal profession?
Um, Maybe I think my first one would be go visit a courthouse. It is so easy. Just
Yeah.
walk in and 9 out of 10 judges are happy to have you and they will tell you when they have trials coming up or what they have going on in their courtroom. But
Hmm.
if you're seriously considering it, go visit a court. Just sit in the back. No one will even notice you're there if you're shy. Talk to other lawyers. Like go walk into the PD's office and just ask to speak to a lawyer. And that someone's bound to help you out, or the state attorney's office as well.
Yeah.
But get out there and see what a lawyer does on the day to day. I
Mhm.
promise we're not that intimidating. Um, then the second piece of advice would be to really study and prepare yourself for
Mhm.
things like the LSAT and the bar exam when it comes time to it. Don't do what I did and overwork yourself and think you'll just figure it out later, because it makes the application process so much harder.
Right.
Um, the third one, it would be to just make sure that it's something that you thoroughly enjoy, because I go to work every day and it doesn't feel like work. I absolutely love it. So
Mhm.
even if I'm stuck in the office trial prepping all weekend, I love every second of it.
Mhm.
It's great for some people, but for other people, it's not for them. And you don't want to make that realization on your third year of law school when you're in $100,000 of debt. So
Right.
I would say shadow an attorney, shadow a judge, get out there, go to some local meetings. They're super easy to find. Or talk to even law students and see if it's something that you really see yourself doing and enjoying.
Mhm.
It's not, I don't think it's a good profession to get into if you're just looking to make money. There are much better professions to make money in. And find something that you like, make sure you love it, and then also keep your hobbies and things outside of the law, because I also find myself only talking about lawyer stuff to other lawyers, and it's important to stay, grounded and make other non-lawyer friends, and
Yeah.
don't consume yourself with your work.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you so much. Your advice was really helpful. Do you have any other thoughts to share?
No, just that if anyone does or is interested in the legal profession, feel free to share my number. I'm always
Mhm.
down to mentor or let them shadow and really see what it's about. Um, one of these days you're going to end up practicing and we might end up practicing together if you've become a lawyer. And I think that educating the youth is very important.
Mhm.
And I want people to feel welcome to come by and just see what we do every day and see if it's a good fit for them.
Yeah, it was a really great experience for me shadowing. So yeah, I'm sure.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank you.
glad you liked it.
Yeah, I did. Well, thank you so
Of
much.
course.